BBC News, hello, I'm Gareth Barlow. Ukraine's president has said that his country will fight Russia's invasion until the end and insisted he would not be making any concessions or compromise. Volodymyr Zelensky was speaking on the 31st anniversary of Ukraine's independence, an occasion which is being marked with less celebration than usual. Public gatherings are banned in the capital, Kyiv. Serhiy Shelenko, an advisor of President Zelensky's chief of staff, said Ukrainian soldiers were ready to meet any aggression by Russian forces.
We have quite strong concerns that Russia will use this symbolic date to concentrate more military aggression and to shell Ukrainian territory. At the same time, we don't consider Russia able to stop our independence anymore because we've shown that Russian army is not so powerful, but Ukrainian army is much more powerful than people expected.
Angola is holding a presidential election today, which is expected to be the most closely fought since its independence in 1975. President João Lourenço of the governing MPLA faces the rebel-turned-opposition group Unitas Adalberto Costa Jr. Thousands of South Africans are taking part in a national strike demanding urgent government action to address the cost of living crisis. Lebo Diseko reports from Pretoria.
The unions are protesting about the spiralling cost of food, fuel and transport and the fact that wages have not kept up. Around a third of South Africans are unemployed and the country is grappling with the economic impact of global events such as COVID and the war in Ukraine. While organisers of today's action say they aim to bring the country to an economic halt, they've also acknowledged that numbers on the streets may not match similar shutdowns in previous years. The government says a no work, no pay principle will apply and essential workers cannot take part. But unions say they see this as the start of a series of actions they're willing to undertake until they get results.
India's richest man, Gautam Adani, has launched a hostile takeover bid for a prominent broadcaster, NDTV. Here's Achana Shukla.
Billionaire tycoon Gautam Adani has taken an indirect control of over 29% stake in NDTV and has offered to purchase another 26% stake through an open offer. But it is turning into a hostile takeover, as NDTV claims the stake acquisition was executed without conversation or consent of the company's founders. NDTV operates 3 news channels and has a strong online presence. It is regarded as one of the few media groups that often takes a critical view of the government policies. Adani's bid for NDTV has also drawn attention because the business tycoon is seen as being close to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the BJP-led ruling party.
World news from the BBC. The US military says it's carried out airstrikes in eastern Syria against infrastructure facilities used by armed groups linked to Iran. A statement by the military's Central Command said the strikes on Deir ez-Zor on Tuesday were necessary to protect US forces from potential attacks by the groups. Tigrayan forces in northern Ethiopia say the federal army has launched a new offensive against them. In a statement, the Tigrayans said there had been a fresh wave of attacks on Wednesday morning along the region's southern border with Amhara. Addis Ababa has not yet responded to the accusations. Democratic Party voters in Florida have picked a U.S. Congress member, Charlie Crist, to take on Florida's Republican Governor, Ron DeSantis, in November's midterm elections. The Democrats are hoping to eclipse Mr. DeSantis, seen as a rising Republican star, expected to run for U.S. president in 2024. Mr. Crist had this message for his supporters.
When I am honored to be your governor again, we'll build a Florida that is a Florida for all of us. Together, we will restore our precious freedoms that Ron DeSantis is taking away. On day one of my administration, I will sign an executive order protecting a woman's right to choose.
Mr. Crist was formerly a Republican who served a single term as governor of Florida before switching parties 10 years ago. He's currently trailing Mr. DeSantis in opinion polls, but just by a few percentage points. The Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said the country should consider buying a new generation of nuclear power plants in what would be a major policy shift. He also wants to restart existing power stations that are currently offline and extend their lifespan. Japan has kept many of its nuclear plants idle since the Fukushima accident a decade ago, but nuclear energy might be needed to meet its goal of going carbon neutral by the year 2050. Live from London, that's the latest. BBC News.